So, um, since I experienced that crazy flirt variant that was very understated and underrepresented, oh my God. And what was weird was I saw an article about the flirt variant where they're saying it was a sign of either the people are becoming more accustomed to it, or the opposite. They became very intolerant. It was kind of, and I wish I could find that article, but I can't find it anymore because something I just came across and I didn't really make the connection of what they were saying because it was extreme on either end. And then I kind of put two and two together that, yeah, you're seeing a lower hospital admission rate from COVID, but then you're seeing an uptick of died suddenly, which is what I already said, that when the system increases climate change, then you won't have too many people dying from cancer. You won't have too many people suffering from cancer, disease, and chronic illness. They'll just die suddenly. So, of course, there's not going to be any hospital admissions. The reason why they had a lot of hospital admissions in the beginning was because it was an introduction. It caused whatever climate change, the pandemic caused an immune system activation. And yeah, there are people that were afflicted. And when they were afflicted, it happened kind of like all at once. And so you had a lot of people admitted to the hospital, causing, emergency room overflows, scares, yeah, even died suddenly, heart attacks and strokes. But it wasn't like they took the frequencies of today and implemented them 3 or 4 years ago. No, it was a slow boil. It was increasing the climate change and then asking people what they were feeling. I remember getting those surveys from Carnegie Mellon. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Do you think it's a global, conspiracy? Right? And so now we're at a point where you'll have less hospital admissions because there's more died suddenly. And then that even is speculative unless you see a lot of people in your world die suddenly or contract cancer, disease, and chronic illness. And if you don't have a huge world and you're not paying attention and you're kind of immune to the shock of people getting cancer because so many around you get cancer, it's just another thing, then you won't really understand and see, what's going on because your world is homogenized. It's a small pond. And some people stay in their small pond. They don't want to look at the died suddenly groups. They don't want to pay attention to anything outside their immediate circle. They don't watch the news, right? Because they're afraid to get brainwashed. And so it's actually very strategic of the system to eventually kick things up a notch to the point where it is a died suddenly. And only those who cultivate a huge group that they are queen bees and king bees or are participant of, they will only see. Like I've seen in the died suddenly groups, people have been burying people left and right. And they're like, I don't understand why people don't say anything. They're like, I don't understand why people aren't even alarmed. And I'm like, because it happens because it happens, and what are people going to do? What can they do? They can't do shit about it. So what are they going to say? I mean, you see them in the died suddenly groups. They're like, well, why don't you go to your followers and tell them? Well, even if you did tell them, what difference is it going to make? Do you know what their logical fallacy is? If I get a V, I'm protected. If I don't get a V, I'm protected. If I take this supplement, I'm protected. If I don't take the supplement, I'm protected. If I do the jelly juice, I'm protected. If I don't do the jelly juice, I'm protected. If I get this operation, everything will be great. If I don't get this operation, everything will be great. If I get this oncology, I'm going to be healed. If I don't get this oncology, you will see the logical fallacies all over the place. So it's not going to make a difference. I mean, the reason why I say this stuff, the reason why I talk about this, so that way I know I'm not crazy. And I feel like, wow, after this last week of feeling the arm pain, of sitting in the pain, feeding my body, sleeping when I need to, and I have these awarenesses, it's like I have to share it with the world. And I'm not saying that you can do what I've been doing. I'm not saying you'll ever get to the level where I'm at as far as just the tolerance for pain. I can never assume anyone will have the same kind of tolerance for pain that I have. But I'll tell you, yesterday, I was, coughing sometimes. I sneezed a few times, but I actually feel very calm. And it was almost weird waking up with very little arm pain. I woke up with very little pain this morning. And so, I don't know, there's a glitch there. I saw that. And so that to me was telling, but again, I don't, why did I have pain? Because the body had to deal with whatever was in the body. See, now I can't tell you what exactly causes all this pain. All I know is that I have a lymphatic system that must be conditioned to push things through. You can't let anything metastasize or stay in the body and just settle. You can't just cultivate sediment. You have to have things moving in your body. And the last few days, it was like, if I had a lot of shit in my body, I would have been having a lot of diarrhea this last week. But the fact I release demons early in the morning, and my body tells me to do that, and I do it, and then even when I eat, and I feel my immune system activated so quickly that I have to even poop a tiny bit, and pee even more often, because something's going on in the atmosphere, something's going on in my body, that everything is on just high acceleration. But I'll tell you, I couldn't tell you if you could handle what I was dealing with. But the clarity that I am receiving from feeling all the pain of potential what could have been diarrhea, the pain of arm pain, of the lymphatic system moving. And it could be heavy metals that I've harbored and other nanoparticles that are intelligent. And who's to say? I mean, I came from Vietnam, and then I have 50 years of so many different exposures to people, different countries, different microbes. There's no way to know what exactly I have hold in my system that causes the immune system to activate. And then there's also the climate. The body has to also get used to the climate. So I'm thinking that, will there be a time where I will finally release all the demons within and the climate can change and I won't have such an aggressive reaction? I don't know. That's still yet to be determined. I'm still going to go fishing with my husband. I figured out, yeah, it was the flirt variant and it was aggressive. And yeah, people are going to die suddenly. So no, you're not going to see an uptick in the hospital admissions when people are dying suddenly more than they are contracting a cancer disease or chronic illness, or even suffer a heart attack to cause them to do a logical fallacy of, oh, I got a heart attack, now I got to go to the hospital and get protection from the next one, which you can't even guarantee that you won't get another heart attack unless you completely disable your immune system so it doesn't push anything through, and then you'll be a sitting duck for cancer and die suddenly. So yeah, when I uncovered this last couple of weeks, the whole thing about logical fallacies, that even I figured out when I learned that term, back when Obama was in office, and I was 12 years ago when I was starting in the conspiracy world. And I'm defending the right-wing conspiracies and saying the left is so this and so that and Obama's this and Obama's that, and I'm talking my smack, and then someone goes ad hominem, logical fallacy, logical, or what is it, false dilemma. I mean, you just hear all these different philosophers, or who knows who, what, that are then countering. And I'm sure there's a lot of different government trolls out there that do work in trying to get the public on a specific, at least give the public clues. There's another world besides the world they were given. That even though I circulated in the conspiracy world for such a long time, and immersed myself so much in the Alex Jones world to where I became so radicalized, which was the perfect time for the system to throw more information at me, because I was that radicalized that everything that I was arguing against that would warrant a reply would be then another seed planted of something else to learn down the road when it was appropriate. And so, some things, it'll take you 12 years to fucking get. Because there's so much programming, so much brainwashing, so much of it, that some people don't even have the capacity to release those demons. They're made of nothing, or they have too much abundance that they can't possibly release that many demons enough for them to organize an alignment. And then there's people that don't have enough substance to them, that there's no possible way they can actually bring on so much substance and then organize the alignment later on. They don't have enough time to redirect. And that's the issue going on right now during climate change, is people are not getting the time to gain the substance or lose the substance. And so they're kind of stuck reacting. And I'll tell you, that's a crazy thing that I discovered when I was sitting on that boat and I was sneezing so hard. And I'm thinking, later on, I could have been driving a truck. I could have been, driving a train. I could have been on an airplane, flying an airplane. I could have been doing something where I would be forced to react to my environment, where I would have no way to stop something. Okay, that cacophony of sneezes, that carpet bombing of sneezes, there was no way to protect myself from that. There was no way. The fact that people do get events and they survive them says that, okay, this is an indicator something's going on. Next time you won't be as lucky if you don't figure out something else you need to do. And then again, I couldn't tell what a person should do when they get a heart attack or a stroke. And so yeah, when I'm full of the heavy metals and they get activated, and those heavy metals are attached to also microbes that are intelligent, and they do speak to you in dreams, and they also cause you to think a certain way, and they cause you to gravitate towards certain things. Okay? When you're forced to react to those things, you better hope you're in a safe place. You better hope you're around safe people. You better hope you're not caught alone by yourself. You better hope you have a way to get out, especially if it's so hot and you're developing so much life like I was. And that's the thing about who you hang out with, who you surround yourself with. During this climate change, you've got to be around people that are safe. You've got to be around situations that you can control, that you're not stuck somewhere because of because of a lifestyle that you've adopted. That's the thing about what's going on, is knowing that there will be certain times where you're going to be forced to react, and you may not be prepared to react. And that's the scary thing. And that's the thing. That's why, I don't say this stuff because I think I'm going to save you guys from anything. There's no fucking way I could save you. I could say, hey, this is what I've experienced, but I'll tell you, all of us have different immune systems. All of us will have different triggers at different times, and there's no telling when those triggers will happen because there's too many factors in play. Too many factors in play. And no matter how much awareness that we put out there, it's not going to make a difference. Because you have to be the one to know that there are certain things in your body that you hold inside, that you don't even know you hold inside, that will be easily commandeered by the frequencies in your environment, by the system. And if you haven't even conditioned yourself to even know that there are things inside your body that will be commandeered and force you to react, it's not going to matter what kind of awareness. It's not going to make a fucking difference. And that's a trippy realization about the logical fallacies that we have come to know and live with and sustained and even adopt new ones. But, I told you my logical fallacy that I developed yesterday because I've seen too many indicators. Could I base what happened last year, me going to a party and then blowing up with hives, have the same kind of outcome? Well, maybe who's to say that I'll blow up with hives this next year? Another party's going to happen? Who's to say? But the environment has changed. People have changed. I have said so many things I'm not saying that I would be afraid to be around people but it's more the fact that it's just, why be around people, unpredictable circumstances, and what am I gaining from that? What's the point? I mean, that's the thing, is what is the point of the social gatherings we go to? What is the point? And so even though I may not get reactions in the future, but I can't say for sure, I have to keep just going back to the same situation in a different body and seeing what kind of reactions. But maybe it's time to do some things differently. Maybe it's time to do things differently. Maybe it's time to release the need to feel accepted, to go and commune with so many different people. Maybe it's time to relax and not feel like I have to fit in any situation. Maybe it's time to be the representation for myself and for the world that you can still be happy. I don't even want to say happy, that you could still be a satisfied person and feel whole, and you don't have to take part in all the things that people take part in out there. I think I read somewhere, I think it was from Matt Landman, that we were conditioned to be around people and conditioned to do things around people all the time. And now the system is trying to condition us to do things on our own. And yeah, the system is. And so maybe it's time now to condition ourselves to be on our own, to self-reflect, to develop our own personal logical fallacies. Or if we can't do that because of whatever, then you buy into somebody else's logical fallacy and feel protected and secure in the notion that what you're doing is going to save you from whatever. And that's fine. Just, people do things for peace of mind. Doesn't mean they're actually protected. It's just peace of mind. And I guess even that is worth its weight in gold, I guess. Peace of mind, even if it's not really protecting you, because there's no such thing as protection. There's no such thing as protection. Here's the thing. My husband's fishing right now. Okay, I'm home on my own. I have to protect myself. I can't depend upon him. I can't depend upon the police. I can't depend on the fire department. I have to actually be aware of my surroundings. Listen for indicators. And find ways to protect myself. Because the police can't protect you. Nobody can protect you. You can only protect yourself. Not even the supplements can protect you. Not even juicing. Not even being around a bunch of people can protect you. And so that was the logical fallacy, that the group mentality was a source of protection. What is it? Safety in numbers? Not necessarily. Then you get a lot more. Well, I mean, if they're all homogenized, but we have so much diversity that there's no such thing as safety in numbers anymore. Now you have so much diversity, you don't know what kind of people are in those numbers. You don't know what person is going left when everyone's going right, and vice versa. And so now it's safety in singularity. It's safety in boundaries. It's safety in less people you have to deal with. Oh yeah, the system has flipped. Everything has flipped. And so, yeah, the whole logical fallacy of politics, religion, and science, and family, and all of that is going to the wayside. Now those logical fallacies are going to work against you. What's a logical fallacy? When you only have two options, to do or not do, for or against. The binary arguments, the false dilemmas, the logical fallacies, all the things that we have felt so secure in, that if we choose this, then we're saved and we're good and everything is wonderful. If we choose that, then we're not. I mean, that was the whole anti-V, pro-V. If you take a V, you're protected. If you don't take a V, you're protected. If you take my supplement, you're protected. If you don't take a supplement, you're protected. What does that mean? That was a logical fallacy. There's not enough evidence to say that you're protected by getting a V. There's not enough evidence to say that you're protected if you don't get a V. Because then what else are you going to turn to? And so then the whole if-then, the sciences of the if-then, which I learned that from an actual chemical engineer who went to the same who went to the same university my dad went to, but she graduated years later. She was around my age. And she was building, I don't know, programs for a bank. It's interesting how someone that, is in biotech can also work. Yeah, there's financial sciences. And she was building programs for a bank through Excel, and I'm sure other programs too. But one of the functions that she was mentioning, because I was excited about learning Excel, the basics of it, and she was already advanced in it. But she's like, yeah, the if-then function, where you can build macros and micros and all that stuff through Excel and spreadsheets and have them all connected, and you put something here and it changes the formulas and the values over in other pages. And that, I always loved learning Excel. But she mentioned the if-then function, and that, of course, in science, there's an if-then function, and then there's other decision points that you make if something happens. But there's also if-then functions in the social constructs. If I go to this activist rally, then we're going to create more awareness and we're going to save the world, right? If I become a Trump supporter, then we're going to save the world. If I become a Biden supporter, we're going to save the world. If Trump gets into office, he's going to save America. You realize that the United Nations is working against everything that Trump stands for, just so you know. Trump is up against the world. Okay? And but people look at him as a savior, but that's the thing about religion. It's another logical fallacy. If you believe in Jesus, you're going to be saved. If you don't believe Jesus, you're going to go to hell. If you believe in this religion, if you take this juice, you're going to be saved. If you don't take this juice, you're going to go to hell. You just replace one with another. That's the logical fallacy of America, is in politics. The binary arguments. And then you have a few independents be like, oh, we're different. Yeah, right. No, you're not. And that's the religions, of course, every single religion. And of course, the sciences. You take this surgery, everything is great. You take this oncology, everything is great. You take this shot, everything is great. You take this supplement, everything is great. You're saved. You're wonderful. You take my juice, everything is saved. Not necessarily. And what the fuck does that mean? Because there's so many factors in play. The environment, the climate, people pulling the levers behind the scenes. What is it? The Wizard of Oz? The wizard behind the fucking curtain, pulling the levers and making you think that what you're doing is working. Like when you say, oh yeah, we voted for Trump, he got into office, and look, lowered gas prices. And I'm like, my husband was saying that. It makes me laugh. I love him, and I understand where he's coming from, and I get a lot of people think like him, and I'm fine with that. I mean, I get having to have faith in something because you're so afraid of the changes and stuff. But just because you had lower gas prices back when Trump was in office doesn't mean a damn thing. It just means that the system made you think that Trump in office was going to save you and help you with your money and give you more money and less gas. Okay? And then guess what? Biden got into office. And then you saw what happened with all that. Okay? I mean, the system will make you right based upon the climate and what they set people up for. And many people are being set up for a great fall because they think that their supplement and their herbs and their religion and their politics and their science is going to save them. If I do this, it's going to save me. If I do that, it's going to save me or save us or save the world. And I couldn't even tell you how to save yourself. I couldn't begin to, I have a background that is a little bit avant-garde, and just even downloading just some of the original gangster rap that I listened. My mother gave me those tapes when I was a kid. Too Short, Eazy-E. And I'm remembering, like, where else would I get those tapes? It wasn't like they were given to me at school. I wasn't playing that game of exchanging tapes at school, but people don't know what I was like when I was a kid in school. But my mother, she gave me those gangster rap, and so I'm downloading so much information. And it's just, it's memory. So my background is a little bit different, but it doesn't mean that you couldn't understand where I'm coming from. I have to give people a little bit of credit that even though they don't have the same background as me of having a very different upbringing raised by scientists, Okay, when you're raised by scientists, well, you can only imagine what kind of experiments were done. But if you're aware that, yeah, heavy metals attached to microbes, hydra, microbes, viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, bacteria, and you have the heavy metals attached to that, causing things to happen because it's a conductor. I mean, not only salt is a conductor, it's ionic, but heavy metals can be a conductor too. Metal is a conductor. Water is a conductor. And you have water and heavy metals and other things in your body that react to certain frequencies, and you have hormones and hormone releases and hormone development and all this other stuff. Then you have all this chemistry. You know how easy it is for people to be commandeered by the system and to be forced to react even when they're not prepared to? Again, those sneezes that I had several times, there's no way I could protect myself from that. It was just like, bam, just like that. That's probably what a heart attack would have been inside and a person would die from. What I experienced as far as the sneezes that I couldn't control, that it was commandeered by the system, causing me to react, because there's always a catalyst. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's the laws of motion. That's physics, laws of motion. And then you have the meanings applied to it, the Schrodinger's law of then how much influence on a particle is based upon the, well, what was that? I'm trying to figure out how to say it. But Schrodinger's law is wave action. How influential is a wave is based upon what influences it to do what it does. And so when you put meaning and put energy onto something, it then causes a wave reaction of things go viral, assumptions made, meanings applied to actions and reactions. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So if you can understand that, there are things in your body that you have to deal with that is going to force you to react. And some people don't survive their reactions. They're being forced to react too. That's when you know that if you're feeling sick and you're surviving the sickness, yeah, that means that your body is attempting to condition itself to handle climate fucking change. But as soon as you take away the pain and suffering, and as soon as you disable your body's ability to release and ability to express itself, when you muzzle your body's immune system, you're just a sitting duck. So when the system pulls another lever over there that causes an immune system reaction, people die from heart attacks and strokes. That's essentially what's going on. And so I've been conditioning the last 3 years, ever since the climate changed. And I've been coughing, and I remember how bad it was. And it was miserable. This last time around, it was so fast it hit me. But I had the immune system to be able to deal with it, even though the mucus was burning my nose. But I was getting it out, and I was meaning, and I had the intention to get it out. This is a battle that only I could have fought. No one else could have fought this battle for me. And I had to have been in a safe place, in a safe space, and have the creature comforts, the comforts of home, and no one around me trying to remedy away my stuff. No one telling me, oh my God, you shouldn't be sick. But my husband allowed me to sleep. He allowed me to do what I had to do to feed myself. And he made sure I was able to get up because, sometimes you just have to make sure you get up and to get things moving. My dog saved me because she forced me to get up and keep things moving. So my husband understands too on a certain level that I couldn't just stay in bed. That what kept things moving was me making the breakfast, making the dinner. And I would do that, whatever, and then I'd go right back to bed again. And I would sleep like a fucking baby. But I was in a safe place to do that. My husband's a safe fucking person. You're not supposed to be happy in every single fucking relationship you're in. As long as you're in a safe place, you got it made. As long as you're around safe people, you got it made. But when you're around people who want to remedy away your disease, who want you to keep performing for them, despite how sick you are, and you have to keep taking medication and getting surgeries and getting all these things done to you so you can perform for somebody else, you're not in a safe place. But again, everyone's perception of safety is different. But I was allowed to express what I needed to express and survive it. And that is, again, that is worth more than forcing happiness on people. That's worth more than trying to be happy for everyone and happy for everything. That's worth more than its weight in gold. I'm serious. When you're allowed to express yourself either on Facebook and in your body, mind, and spirit, and no one is stopping you, and some people are stuck in this sexuality. They're going to be forced to be on OnlyFans because that's what their self-expression is. They are a very sexual person, and so they're going to be on OnlyFans and deal with all that bullshit. Again, what can I say? I can't say a damn thing, right? If it's a safe place for you to express yourself, fine. And then it goes into that direction. If people want to express themselves in relationships and have a bunch of them, fine. If you need to express yourself and having a bunch of kids, fine. But the logical fallacy is that if you do this, and then you'll be happy. If you do that, then you'll be happy. Well, yeah. I guess we're all going to figure out what's worth it, is surviving or just being happy and expressing yourself. And so, again, I couldn't tell you what is right self-expression, what's wrong. I'm just giving you my side of it. But again, all of you are going to have your perceptions of what happiness is. Sometimes it's expressing yourself through your religion, whether it's the Hebrews or Christianity or this or that, or being an activist or being a storm chaser. I mean, whatever. But this is my side of the world. And I've noticed that some things you cannot get away from being forced to express. And I hope you survive that expression. So even though you might voluntarily take on being a Hebrew or a Christian, or take on voluntarily being an OnlyFans star, or take on voluntarily having a bunch of kids and playing all that, but there's some things that you will not be voluntarily reacting to. And sometimes that will be immune system activation that even I couldn't stop. Not that I wanted to, but that was something that was so fucking aggressive. Not that I wanted to stop it, but I'm used to the hives. I don't have them. I don't have them now. I might have had one little one on my butt, but I think that disappeared. But I'm used to feeling the arm pain. I'm used to feeling, even I felt a little, pain back here a little bit. Okay? But that's immune system activation. But what I was not used to was the amount of sneezes that I did during that time where where everything was just coming out. I was not prepared for that. But my body was. But I wasn't. I wasn't expecting that. And that's basically like a heart attack. That was like those carpet bombing and sneezes was like basically an external heart attack. Because that's what sneezes are. They're like little heart attacks. Let me Google that. Oh my God. Are sneezes like heart attacks? I don't know. I've heard of it was. All right, well, what do they say? You probably understand that sneezing, also called sternutation, is your body's way of expelling foreign materials like dust or pollen from the respiratory tract. There's also some evidence that the high air pressure in your mouth associated with sneezing also causes your brain to tell nerves in your nose to produce extra mucus in your nose. This extra mucus helps keep foreign substances from making it into your lungs. That's why nothing settled in my throat when I was going through that. So it's like a defibrillation when you think about it. You may have heard that your heart skips a beat when you sneeze, but that's a myth. Okay. Electrical signals that control your heart rate aren't affected by the physiological changes that happens when you sneeze. But the heart may get delayed for a second or two before resuming its regular rhythm. There's no need to worry. Your heart gets right back on track shortly after a sneeze without causing any threats to your health. But again, when you can sneeze, it can cause a heart attack. Now you can Google that. Do sneezes cause heart attacks? Do sneezes cause aneurysms? And yes, they could, because it is an aggressive energy. That's some people, when they get shocked over something and they have weak heart and weak everything, and they get shocked into a heart attack. When you scare somebody, when you see all over TikTok, right, or Facebook Reels, who are scaring each other, some people can scare each other into a heart attack or a stroke. And so you don't want to do that to old people because you'll kill them. And so, yeah, sudden events like sneezing to such an extent that people could die from that. And that's something that's forced on you that you'll never be able to stop because it's in that motion. You'll be lucky to even be sneezing. People don't even get the luxury to sneeze. Because as soon as the body tries to do that, bam, they're done. Okay? And so anyway, so let me see. La, 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 la. But yeah, I actually feel really good today. I feel great. I mean, my hands were very sore. I mean, they're a little bit sore now, but they were sore yesterday. Even my husband mentioned his hands were sore. But I produced my own logical fallacy. My logical fallacy is I eat all food, and I sleep, and I deal with pain, and I release, and I don't treat any disease. That will be the only way I'm going to survive. And I stay away from most people. If I do the opposite of this, I will die. That pretty much is my own logical fallacy. But then that's what the system is gearing towards. Because the more you group around people, the more diversity you take on, the more fertility you will encourage, and even then infertility, but then also more cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and then more reasons to treat your disease, of which then you'll treat yourself out of existence. And so my logical fallacy of saving my own life is doing everything the opposite most people are doing out there. But then again, you really can't guarantee anything because you can't stop things that are out of your control, but at least the things that I can control. But I don't push this logical fallacy on anyone else. Because why would it be called a logical fallacy? Because there's only two options. I either go and do what I did before and not give a shit and just suffer, or keep treating disease until I die, or I do completely the opposite and just hope and pray that whatever I've been doing will carry me through, because there's no telling what's going to happen as far as weather and nuclear war and all that stuff. So, again, this is how I'm going to survive, and this is the only way I'm going to survive, because I can't do what I did before. At this point, you don't want to when people are going through their own bullshit. And so all of you will either sustain the logical fallacies that were given to you, or you might explore the other ones, and sometimes you may have to develop a lot of conflicting logical fallacies until you figure out the right one. But now you have the choice to develop your own logical fallacies, and I hope the logical fallacies work for you. So if you think being around people is going to help you survive, you think being around friends and family to distract you from the pain and suffering is going to help you survive and keep you sane, fine. That's already been around. That was the old logical fallacy that you'll keep sustaining, and I get it. Okay? And so I learned about the logical fallacy from people that I was trolling on CNN. And then this guy, Rob Seifert, who actually, he was popular way back when, 12 years ago, because he was on the show Intervention, and he then became a voice of the left back then when I was the voice of the right. And so, he was saying stuff and I was saying stuff, but then I kind of, played with him as far as on the internet, and would post like videos of stuff that was kind of cool, and he would respond, and he was a nice dude. And then he died from cancer, disease, and all that. And that was a loss to that community, because people he did bring a lot of different people together. And I learned a lot, on his page. And so I still remember him to that day. And I remember the people that he would bring together and I would be exposed to. And yeah. So a lot of people on the internet, even though you don't know them, or they were part of some programs that then they transferred into the online social media influencing, they really can help you grow if you allow them to grow, let you grow. But some things, hopefully will stick from things that you may have resisted, and then you're like, no, I get it. I learned something from an opposing force. And that's the thing, is how do you learn? All right. I'll tell you, my arms are still a little bit sore, but not as sore as they were. It's kind of crazy. I mean, seriously. And so, yeah, the whole metallurgy, I mean, I'm not going to read the stuff word for word, but yeah, heavy metals can cause then you to be fertile and highly sexualized. And also too many heavy metals can also cause infertility and also diseases, which probably contributes to a lot of the autism and all that. When people are full of heavy metals and they've done so many different detoxes and supplements, and then of course environmental, and then of course inherited diseases that would cause and so many different things. So, there's so many factors that contribute to the breakdown of the genome. And so now the system has to do a reset. They've already developed the petri dishes, and the petri dishes are wearing themselves out. That's why I posted those videos of those hood rats, okay, with Boys in the Hood, Eazy-E, I think, who did that, or was it Too Short? But anyways, but yeah, we all have been experiments. I think the Rats of Nim, Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, we read that in the Bay Area. And then Universe 25 is based on the same thing. The Rats of Nim. What's Nim? Well, it's NIMH as far as the book, but NIM is, National Institute of Health and whatever, NIH. And so the Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim was basically an offshoot of Universe 25, that huge rat experiment. And then we all are under experimentation. And so when you put Rats of Nim or the hood rats in Nikes and Converse and high tops, and you put a bunch of gangster rap, then you realize that, yeah, the Bay Area was huge in the experimentation with the Norteños, the Sureños, the Crips, and the Bloods. And then you have all the different street gangs that took from the rap artists, and that's when my mom gave me those rap music, because she wanted to influence something from the other side of the tracks into Silicon Valley. And so I took on this crazy, explicit, gangster rap. And so the juxtaposition of that gangster rap then with what's going on right now. Yeah, the Bay Area, Oakland. The Bay Area was a huge petri dish, like a fucking huge one. California is a huge petri dish. Silicon Valley, a huge petri dish. New York City, a huge petri dish. And of course it carries over then Midwest towns like Ohio, Canton, Ohio. And then you have all these little, rap artists and people that take on the persona of these influencers like Too Short, Eazy-E, Slick Rick, and all these different, artists that then you have someone like Kid Rock, who was never raised in the trailer park, but he's very, very talented, but he was raised by some upper middle class people. And so they take on certain personas of things that they identify with. And so that's why I'm able to live here in Canton, Ohio, because I was exposed to another culture. And I'm comfortable in diverse surroundings. I don't have an issue with foreigners coming into my country, though people do have issues with that when they've been so homogenized, whether it's Ireland, Scotland, or America. Because you see a lot of people who are the MAGA, Make America Great Again, against, of course, all the immigration. And I understand, because there's all this legality shit, but I get it. And even in Ireland, they're against the foreigners coming in Ireland. They're against the foreigners coming in Scotland. I mean, but at this point, if you don't understand that you can't be so homogenized and so intolerant, that's going to destroy you, then you'll try to resist diversity, resist evolution, you'll destroy yourself. And people are. You see what happens at the micro will happen at the macro. You see what happens when you become so homogenized. I've been around people who have been so homogenized that I'm so different. They're like, who the fuck is this? Yeah. But see, I was raised so differently that everybody around me was homogenized, and I'm breaking into something that you really can't break into because there was no way I was going to assimilate. And that's kind of the cross I had to bear, but whatever. All right, so yeah, watch those Facebook reels. As far as the justice system, yeah, everything is judged. I mean, America is a trip. Okay, America, justice was never blind. Your politics, your religion, your science, and even your skin color is on trial. Even your education. I was on trial. And I wasn't even in a fucking courtroom the last 7 years. The executive branch was the perception your savior won. The legislative branch, this is America, the three branches of government. The legislative branch always developed stories to either lead you or mislead you, but you had some kind of order through protocols and procedures. So all the different bills that they pass through, that goes through the House and goes through the Senate and all that. I mean, they can introduce bills, but they can just stay introduced, but it doesn't go beyond whoever introduced it. But it's there for people to use, like, oh, look, they introduced this bill. Oh my God, what happens if they do that? Does that mean that we're going to have this? I mean, yeah, the legislative branch can also be very misleading to people when they see certain bills from certain people in government to keep people distracted and talking about, oh, does it mean this? Does it mean that? Then logical fallacies. Oh, if we vote in this person, they'll stop this. Or if we vote in this person, they'll end it. Or whatever, it's just, oh, God. And so then you have the false dilemmas between Democrat and Republican, and then sprinkling in occasional independents to make a fight look interesting. And so false dichotomies, logical fallacies, politics, religion, science are all based on the false dilemmas and guiding people's perceptions. And so if you personally do not study the basics of science and then develop your own logical fallacy based on what you think is safe for you, you'll buy into whatever the system has provided for you and to you. And then they'll give you people to support your position to make you feel you're not alone and comforted. Okay? And so, yeah, the COVID new variant flirt in the USA, I'll tell you what. When you have more died suddenly and less hospital administration, the system is meeting its quota. The system is finally realizing the intentions. Remember, no more cancer, no more suffering, right? You don't want to suffer? Okay. When you die suddenly, no more suffering. People don't want to suffer. Oh, you can't let the animal suffer. You can't let that child suffer. You can't let that human suffer. And that's the Antichrist. But even the Christ is the Antichrist, because you bring in so much life, it's going to suffer, and then eventually you have to end its suffering. Sometimes it ends the people, it ends the babies, it ends the humans. It's kind of a crazy thing that's going on. All right, so Schrodinger's law equation, a basic law of quantum mechanics that describes how a particle's wave properties respond to external force. That's what I was trying to say a couple minutes ago. In other words, the meaning you placed upon a person, place, or thing brought to life a predetermined outcome. Okay? So that's what I was saying with everything that's going on and all the different symptoms and belief systems and all that. People already bring a predetermined outcome to their world because they haven't even changed the way they do, the way they believe. They don't even change their belief system. And when you can't change your belief system, you will bring in a very predictable outcome called died suddenly. Let me tell you, every sickness I felt, every pain that I felt, I would never stop. Because that means I'm alive. And I keep feeding the energy and I keep releasing the demons the way I have in my book. Not saying that you could do it. I'm not saying that you should do it. That's the way I do it. I cough and I sneeze and I blow my nose and I pull everything out that I can. And then if I can't, then I let my system go through that process. And sometimes I will feel bloated until the body's ready to release. And then I will make sure I help it release if need be. And that's what I kind of do. So, I have a high tolerance for pain. And if you don't, then yeah, you already have a predetermined reaction, which is treat yourself out of existence. And then you have absolution in politics and religion and science. And so again, what are the examples of logical fallacies? If you get a V, then you are protected. If you get a V, then you're not protected. If you do not get a V, then you are protected. If you do not get a V, then you are unprotected. If you take remedy, then you're saved. If you take remedy, then you're not saved. If you don't take a remedy, then you are saved. If you don't take a remedy, then you are not saved. I mean, pick one. Pick on. Pick one. Package it up. Sell the logical fallacies to the masses. And so less hospitalizations means more die suddenly. That's your blind spot. Getting sick is an indicator you ain't dead yet. And so what do they say in this economic times? No major uptick in COVID cases due to a new variant. Oh. Although there has been issued caution around this flirt variant, there has been no reported significant uptick in COVID cases in the U.S. due to the new variant prevailing in the country. A Mount Sinai South Nassau Hospital official has revealed that he has not seen any evidence of an uptick in cases on the basis of data he is currently observing of the patients he is currently supervising. So there you go. So yeah, you're going to see how now targeted some of these aggressive variants are. It's fucking phenomenal. You think about it. Why is it phenomenal? Because they already told you, you don't want to suffer, fine. You won't. There will be no more cancer in the future, no more suffering in the future. And so when you have professed that you don't want to suffer, you'll go to the hospital. And you'll get treated to death until one day another uptick, another variant comes through, whatever that is, and then rest in peace. Priscilla Dean Peterson, 44 years old, Pearson. Ponchatoula police officer passed away unexpectedly while on duty. She was a 6-year veteran of the department, age 44, May 28th, 2024, USA. Cause of death, heart failure. And so, yeah, I mean, the flirt variant, it's a sneak attack. And you better be equipped to handle sneak attacks. And so through the pain and suffering that I feel, I then go and channel it through music and AI images. People are like, well, oh my God, all these storms, they were never like this before. And someone goes, well, we warned you that it was the graphene oxide that was going to do that from the chemtrails and all the 5G and this and that. Blah, blah, blah. I warn people. Okay, so you warn them. What do you propose they do? They couldn't stop it. Just because you warned someone 5, 10, 15 years ago doesn't mean shit. That's the logical fallacy that warnings are going to save people. No. You're just observing what you hadn't observed before, but there's no way to save anyone from that. I mean, does knowing you're going to die, well, you already assume you're going to die someday. But does even projecting you're going to die sooner prematurely, is that going to make a difference for people? Well, people said, well, if you eat this, you eat that, you do this, you do that, you're going to die sooner. People are like, well, I'm going to still eat it. I don't care. People told me back when I was drinking Starbucks, when I was putting the Splenda or something, or what is it, Equal in my coffee. Like, oh, that causes cancer. I'm like, so? I don't care. And then I cared later on. But when people are like, yeah, okay, whatever. You think, even if they did care and they made the changes, you think they're going to survive because every single change they make is still within the same paradigm. Take away disease. Here's another logical fallacy or another cure, another remedy, another surgery, another oncology. That's a logical fallacy. Oh, you do this, it's going to save you. You do that, it's going to save you. It's going to fix you up. You just trade another logical fallacy for another. So no matter what, every warning out there is a logical fallacy that you're going to raise enough awareness or you're going to get enough money. Maybe you will. But what's that going to do? They're like, oh yeah, we're raising awareness for the March of Dimes for babies with cancer. So what do? They have all these companies in California donating to the March of Dimes for all these babies, St. Jude, all these different companies that study what other cure they can develop for cancer. And babies are still dying of cancer, or they're getting treated to death, or they just die suddenly, or have infertility. So all that money that they raised for raising awareness, what kind of specific measurable result did you find in your world that you thought that was a sound investment when there's still cancer in the fucking population? How do you measure that you donating to GoFundMe's are going to help the fucking person? What kind of, or is it, alleviating guilt? The logical fallacies alleviate guilt. Oh yeah, they're the absolution. There's the religion. When rich people have to donate to fundraisers and give away money to the poor, okay, that's just relieving guilt that they made so much money. Okay, I mean, that's the America, the West, the world has been built on logical fallacies. And then it's interesting watching people enact them. Again, I still chuckle. My husband goes, yeah, when Trump gets into office in 2025, it's going to be a world party. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm like, honey, I love you. What can I can't break his bubble that he thinks Trump is going to save the world if he gets into office. And he might very well get into office. I couldn't say he wouldn't. It depends on there's the penalty phase or the sentencing phase in July 11th. I mean, he could be on probation or go to jail for 4 years. What's the system going to do? We got to wait till July 11th, right before the RNC and the DNC and all that stuff announcing their candidate. I mean, then it becomes a joke. Everything becomes a joke. Then I can't take anything seriously. And that's when I walked away a long time ago when people started putting their faith and their hope and whatever in all these different logical fallacies, which is activism. Josephine Baker did all the activism, logical fallacies, all these different people that were thrust out there, given money and power and fame and fortune and influence. They were given a logical fallacy to sell to the masses. And how many people just bought all these logical fallacies, hook, line, and sinker, and then developed MLMs? They're just like saving children from wars. No, people can't protect themselves. There's no fucking way that you're raising awareness is going to save them. What's done is done. What's being done is done. All the immigration, you can't stop that. I was watching that video that I posted. The Darien Gap, and they have the UN there, the Darien Gap between South America and North America. But there is a highway of immigration from South America to North America all the way up to fucking Canada. And the one place where they don't have a paved road and a highway for immigration is the Darien Gap. And guess who's there? Non-governmental organizations and the United Nations, helping the immigrants from South America make their way up through Mexico and then finally to the border. So it's a trip to finally realize everything, but I went through the pain and suffering of figuring this stuff out. And so, and I'm like, what is it? What's so funny is half the country knows we're in World War III and the other half of the country has stuck their head in the sand living in Disneyland as well as under the influence. It's actually kind of funny. When you think about it, World War III is like no other war. I would call this war a young urban professional war. This is the 80s war, the yuppie wars. The frontmen are your Argyle sock Opie looking. That's poor Ryan Hall, y'all. He looks like Opie. I told my husband, Ryan Hall, y'all, looks like Opie. And he's a good dude. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with him. He has a nice family. He represents, his industry well. I mean, he helps people and financially and warns them. But I mean, come on, it's a yuppie war. The frontmen are your Argyle sock wearing meteorologists in their wingtips trying to warn you. And of course, they get the Jesus complex because they're warning you before devastation and helping people with money and items, right? And then the men in black are the ones you have to worry about. Then you have the kids, the storm chasers, getting high off the adrenaline. This is the new drug war, right? People getting high off the hormones and adrenaline and fighting for information, fighting about information, and then ankle biting each other for having a different thought process, a bunch of fucking chihuahuas. And so World War III is Shakespearean. It has all the elements of a great story. The archetypes are so obvious. And so then when you hear about these explosions, like that happened in Dallas-Fort Worth, and then the one that happened over here in Youngstown, Ohio, and Youngstown is not too remarkable. It's a place where, yeah, they had history there, but you know how things are. The system is cleaning stuff up. And so history is repeating itself. And those who don't remember history or ever studied it will think everything is organic, right? Like they invented sliced bread or something. You can't tell them anything because they don't have a long enough memory and they don't study anything except for their fingernails. And so the Weather Underground bombings way back when was like government agencies and public facilities that they did during odd hours, off hours, or they warned people something was going to happen so there would be less casualties. And so when I was thinking that, oh, that gas explosion over there in Youngstown, you never know what that could have been. And someone did mention, well, the way things are going, I wouldn't doubt if it's something intentional. And I'm like, yeah. And people were attacking her. Oh, my God. But that's the thing. You know, there will always be an official story, but you know we're in World War III. So there you go. And the way things are going, yeah, every story is credible. Sometimes I have to comment on certain pages to remind me the kind of world I live in and why I don't hang out with too many people and why it is we are in World War III. Humans have become completely pathetic. Okay? You can't give another storyline about somebody, ripping your head off on a public page. Now, I give my own personal perspective and observation on my page, but I do not force anything that I think onto anyone. And on the public pages, I'm pretty polite. I mean, before I wasn't. Before I was like a little jackal. But then I realized that the way to express yourself is not to attack somebody else on a public page or even on their page, but to globally comment on society in a more of a general perspective versus a personal perspective. And so the people who are commenting on a lady just having a different opinion raises your children. And then your children turn into the people that you see on this page. They're like jackals attacking, her. And so social media grounds me because it reminds me of the underbelly of our society that most people hide away, but you see the truth of humanity when they feel safe behind a keyboard. I need social media to remind me of the reality of the world I live in, not the fantasy people project out there, but the reality. And the reality is brutal. If you say anything different, oh my God, the fangs come out. It reminds me of the Middle Ages and the Spanish Inquisition, which is why people do not say anything different when they hang out in groups, because they know what their peers are capable of, and they're afraid of their peers, and they very well should be, because you see the truth behind what people do when given the opportunity. It's very scary out there. And that's the magic of social media. You see the truth of the people, and the truth about what you think of the world, and people come right through, they say and do. And so you see the truth of what people say and do, or what they do not do. People do not hide anything. They tell you by what they post. You can tell by the inflections. You can tell by what they focus on. You can tell everything about people on social media. That's the magic of virtual reality. People think they're safe from being exposed. No, you're exposed on social media. What you say and don't say speaks volumes. That's why I say whatever, because I don't want to ever be accused of hiding behind my cleavage or my platitudes or my religion, because I don't have one, or photo filters or my politics or my friends and family. I let everything hang out, and I say what I have to say. And I don't hide behind platitudes, hearts and flowers, love, love, love. No. What you see, what you hear is exactly what you're getting, and I will never deceive you or mislead you. I will never claim to take away your pain and suffering. I will never claim I have the answer. Okay? I treat everyone the same. I don't make anyone more special or less special. My husband, who I'm in a contractual relationship with, I have a higher regard for because that's what we've chosen for ourselves. But I use people on Facebook as examples, and it might actually coincidentally be in the J world, but I play no favorites. Everyone is equal in my book. Okay? And so you don't have to work hard for me and whatever. Okay? So anyways, and so I have pretty low expectations of the world, but I also want the freedom to express myself, but I also am responsible for my self-expression. And everyone has their shtick, and that's fine. But it's quite interesting watching the logical fallacies in play. And even though, even myself, all of us are practicing logical fallacies, at least we get the choice of the ones that we want to try on, the ones that we want to explore. And as long as it's done safely and it doesn't violate the laws, yeah, promote your logical fallacies. Because they are logical fallacies. There's no way any of our protocols are universal for anyone. And who knows what you're saving people from, what you're influencing, what you are contributing to. So that's why I don't sell the J world to people. I don't sell the J juice to people. I do not claim that it's going to save you. It's going to do this. I just tell you what I do. I give you the science behind what could possibly be happening. But again, I have had years of conditioning. But I also come from the point of facing life and the hardships of life. And I don't want to hide behind love and happiness and joy, because in this environment, you have to earn that. And sometimes earning that goes through a major amount of pain and suffering. Because if I were to live on love and happiness and joy, I'd have to be under the influence. Because what's going on right now, it's not joyful. And it's not painless. It's very fucking painful. So for you to be happy and joy and painless takes a concerted effort that you would have to actually commandeer your own hormones and force them to be happy and to be loving and to be joyful. Like you literally have to force your body to do that. And when you force your body to do things against its will, that's called therapy. The rape of the body, the mind, and the spirit. Because life right now is very miserable. And again, my little fleetings of happiness comes from earning it because I went through the pain and suffering. So my happiness right now that you may or may not detect is because I fucking earned it. I suffered this last week dealing with those carpet bombings and sneezes that my body was forced to react to. And I took no remedies. I did no surgeries. I don't smoke pot. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke cigarettes. And I don't get lost in paradise of oxytocin, forcing the body to bring that up all the time. And so this is then me earning my relative equilibrium. And who's to say what it's going to be like the next time the climate shifts yet again? Okay? And so, yeah, we're in World War III. Some people will understand, some people won't. And I said, normalize learning how to argue and take devil's advocate on everything. And that's when I figured out that, yeah, every argument is a logical fallacy, especially when you're selling it to the masses. Every single remedy, every single everything is a logical fallacy. And so I'm just going to, hold on. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say right now. Protection is a logical fallacy. The medical holistic surgical system is a logical fallacy. People are lost in the maze of truth, and I understand that. Yeah. And then I think the royals, the two brothers, are like a Cain and Abel. Prince Harry and Prince William, like a Cain and Abel. It's very biblical. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to say right now. I'm just going to see if anything is worth repeating. All right. So just so you know, I was not vaccinated, just so you know. And everything that I've been feeling came from whatever I held within or what I acquired and what metastasized. And I couldn't tell you how much of the heavy metals attached to other types of life forms that are circulating, the microbes, if they were influenced by the frequencies causing then those reactions. And so that's why you're seeing people change also out there, is because they hold so much of the diversity inside, and then the different frequencies activate. some of those microbes and causes then changes in people, whether it's obesity, aggressive aging, or even losing so much weight, or even more entrenched in their beliefs, or even more loving. Okay? And so all of us are changing. And even in the diet suddenly groups are noticing people are aging aggressively, quicker. And they're blaming it on the V's. Okay. Everything is a factor. But when you're stopping the body from releasing because of the remedies and things like that, and also doing more harm by the surgeries, yeah, you're going to edit your own genome and support the gene editing that's already going on. I mean, I've been exposed to everything out there, even health stuff inside, and I allow the body to express, and I don't stop it. And so even though I may be edited on some level, it's not causing then me to completely fall apart. I mean, drinking the milk and the cream and eating the eggs and the meat and the fruits and vegetables. And so I keep rebuilding as a body has to go through whatever it goes through. All right, so the flirt variant. Oh, yeah, okay. So that's all I'm going to say right now, but I wanted to give you a little bit of an update because it's been rather trying this last week. But I'm telling you, I'm surviving it. Remember, I've done this for the last 3 years, and even more so the last 7 years, and I have the conditioning to handle pain and suffering. Some don't, and they'll have to go live in the logical fallacies that some supplement, some surgery, some herbal concoction is going to save them. And I guess if you think dying is being saved and you have a religion, more power to you. But I wanted to express that I now see the magic behind America. It is the illusions. America is one huge illusion. It's fucking phenomenal. Bye.